And you always knew the bad news was coming with Todd because he'd go, here's the thing. And he said, we're going to lose the orchestra in Dresden and we have to do all of the conducting first. I do think there's a distinct lack of shame in society. And I think shame is very different to guilt. Guilt is...
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' alleged pattern of bullying colleagues in Hollywood didn't start with the Justin Baldoni fiasco, and it doesn't seem likely to end there. Now, Cate Blanchett has shattered the silence with a blistering new interview that's sending shockwaves through the industry. When someone as respected and notoriously private as Blanchett decides to speak out, you know the situation is far uglier than anyone imagined. According to insiders, Blake didn't just attempt to borrow Blanchett's legacy, she tried to steal it outright, dismissing Cate the moment she pushed back. But true to her reputation, Blanchett didn't erupt or create a scene. Instead, she engineered a quiet but devastatingly precise response, already being hailed as a masterclass in poetic justice. For the first time, it looks as though Blanchett may be the one to drag Blake and Ryan's long-running behavior into the harshest possible spotlight.
So it's sometimes good to be really simple. I mean, Matisse says this fantastic thing. It's just, don't try and be original. Just be.
Cate Blanchett and Chanel have always been an effortless match, an alliance as natural as champagne and crystal. For more than a decade, Blanchett has embodied the brand's very essence, elegance, heritage, and timeless sophistication. She wasn't just an ambassador, she was a symbol. In 2021, she inked a multi-season contract to front Chanel's prestigious Women in Cinema campaign, a collaboration so carefully curated that Chanel even commissioned a short legacy film penned by Blanchett's husband, Andrew Upton. The project was intimate, stripped down, black and white, 2 women, no dialogue, pure storytelling through expression. Contracts were signed, approvals locked, the stage set for Blanchett's moment. And yet, when the cameras rolled, it wasn't Cate who appeared in the spotlight. It was Blake Lively. Not a scheduling mishap, not an innocent substitution, but a deliberate replacement that left insiders stunned and the industry buzzing with questions about what really went down behind the scenes.
Blake Lively is out and about in the UK promoting her One Simple Favor, right? Is that the name? Yep, she's out. She's wearing this Chanel head-to-toe V. Here's the look.
Fans were baffled. Why was Blake there? Where was Cate? Had the Chanel deal collapsed? The truth, insiders say, is far murkier. There was no fallout between Blanchett and the brand. No disputes, no creative clashes. Instead, what unfolded looked like calculated sabotage. Chanel allegedly reached out to Cate's team with a vague statement that the campaign's direction had shifted, industry code for being quietly pushed aside. The move blindsided Blanchett, especially since all signs pointed to smooth sailing. Then came the reveal, Blake Lively stepping in as the new face of the campaign. To add insult to injury, Chanel didn't even bother reinventing the concept Blanchett had built. They kept the bones of her vision, sprinkled in some glitter, slapped on a red lip and a few hollow sound bites, and passed it off as something new.
They're so look at these. They match my outfit. Look at those nails. Wow. Aren't they incredible? Those are amazing. I had time for that. I literally did it while it worked. It was a little chaotic. It was worth it.
Even Chanel's backstage crew were blindsided when Cate Blanchett was suddenly replaced. A stylist later leaked texts suggesting Blake was never part of the plan. Her team had swooped in with a lucrative cross-platform pitch too tempting for Chanel to ignore. But removing Blanchett so abruptly wasn't just bold, it was reckless. After locking in the campaign, Blake's team allegedly set out to reframe Cate as outdated while positioning Blake as the fresh savior of Chanel's fading relevance. The scheme came to a head in March 2023 at a private Chanel dinner in Paris. Blanchett had RSVP'd months earlier, expecting to debut her husband Andrew Upton's short film that was centerpiece to the campaign. But just weeks before, Chanel announced that Blake would be honored instead. Blanchett's film was quietly shelved, replaced with Blake's new theme of cross-platform storytelling through beauty, film, and wellness. Cate, ever composed, attended anyway. But the night turned brutal when Blake, seated beside a senior Chanel creative, was overheard dismissing Andrew's script as beautiful, but kind of outdated. The creative laughed, adding, "Legacy doesn't sell to Gen Z." Blanchett, seated within earshot, reportedly overheard every word. She didn't confront anyone, but witnesses say her face fell, and she carried the heartbreak quietly for the rest of the evening. Weeks later, Blake's flashy Chanel X Netflix crossover campaign launched, only for a massive PR blunder to expose the truth. Chanel forgot to cancel a fashion magazine feature planned back when Blanchett was still the face of the campaign. The published piece highlighted Blanchett's creative involvement in Upton's film before being pulled just 3 hours later. But screenshots spread online like wildfire, sparking accusations that Blake had stolen Cate's work and erased her contributions. The backlash was swift. Blake's PR team tried damage control, but every move backfired. A high-profile YouTube appearance was abruptly canceled after the host was caught rehearsing questions about the Blanchett controversy. What was meant to be Blake's sleek rebrand collapsed into chaos, with fans and media painting her as the villain. Cate, by contrast, never lashed out or played the victim. Instead, she kept moving forward with her trademark grace. Accepting a quiet humanitarian award in Berlin, she delivered a line that fans immediately recognized as a pointed response. There's a difference between honoring a story and owning it like it was always yours. One builds legacy, the other builds ego. While Blake's campaign unraveled, Blanchett reminded the world why she remains untouchable, not just for her artistry, but for the integrity she carries into every room, even the ones where she's been wronged.
Much. And the more I do, in a way, I think the less I know. And I've had a very eclectic and strange career that has taken me many places. But perhaps if there's any connective tissue in my career, it's the desire to know. It's the quest to unlock what it means to be human, that strange nub of fearful, joyful uncertainty that it is to be a human being. To live a creative life, it's fueled with uncertainty and doubt. It's the DNA of how you begin any project. You have to humble yourself and say, I don't know, I'm here to learn.
By June 2023, Cate Blanchett and her husband Andrew Upton had quietly returned to their roots with a small 2-person play at the Sydney Theatre Company. Written entirely by Andrew and directed by Cate, the project wasn't staged as some flashy post-Chanel comeback. There were no red carpets, no glossy PR spreads, just an intimate performance space filled with theater lovers and devoted film enthusiasts. Originally, the play carried the working title Lines That Weren't Meant to Be Read, but by opening night it had been rechristened The Credit. To many, the new title landed like a whisper with the weight of a shout. It felt like a deliberate nod to the Chanel scandal and a subtle jab at Blake Lively, who had allegedly claimed credit for work Blanchett helped shape, then shoved her aside in the process. Without fanfare, Blanchett delivered her sharpest message yet. She didn't need a headline to be heard.
Well, I always approach every role as a woman because I am. Don't really think about that. I do think there's a distinct lack of shame in society at the moment. I think shame is very different to guilt. Guilt is a very useless emotion. I don't know what you do with that. But shame and regret and the lessons one can learn from that are, I think, are very...
Cate Blanchett handled the Chanel fiasco with a level of grace most actresses either can't muster or can't afford, which made it all the more jarring when Blake Lively allegedly tried to bully and silence her, pettily and in public. But Blanchett wasn't the first, and certainly not the only target of Blake's behavior. Insiders say Blake has a long track record of undermining co-stars and crew whenever she feels threatened by someone else's spotlight. Her alleged tactics ranged from off-putting jokes that landed more like insults to outright attempts to discredit colleagues behind the scenes. A resurfaced Gossip Girl interview captures this perfectly. Blake cracks a cringeworthy joke about Leighton Meester being born in prison and compares her other co-stars to monkeys in a cage. The room went stiff. The discomfort was palpable. On-screen, they played best friends. Off-screen, it looked like anything but.
Article recently saying that Leighton and I were frenemies, and it's
frenemies. Is that the new term, frenemies?
Yeah, we're friends, but we're also enemies. And it's really strange because they always want to pit women against each other. You don't hear about like Penn and Chase hating each other and being jealous and competitive.
2 seconds later.
I think I'm just brunette because of the books.
And everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway. awkward moment by me.
Remember Savannah.
It was another promise was no pet monkey. Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them. Come on, it was a joke. Lord have mercy.
Your wardrobe. That is important. Very good.
It's very important.
This is wardrobe.
This is wardrobe. This was on the return rack. I think it was hers. So I had to go and slip them cash.
It wasn't just a bad joke, it was mean-spirited, and the body language said it all. Co-stars weren't laughing, they were enduring. And behind the scenes, it reportedly got worse. Blake allegedly spent years picking on Leighton Meester during Gossip Girl, with tensions so obvious that in 2017, executive producer Joshua Safran was forced to address them, though he tried to soften the truth as personality differences. Fans weren't convinced once the viral clip resurfaced. Then Armie Hammer added fuel to the fire. In a candid interview with Andy Cohen, he described Blake as a full-blown diva. Everything had to be her way, and even minor inconveniences could trigger meltdowns. He admitted her behavior was one of the reasons he quit the show. Though he was careful with his words, the weight of what he didn't say spoke volumes, and fans picked up on it immediately.
Starts with us, so I'm hoping to see you back in the double duty role.
I think there are better people for that one.
Justin.
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Justin said he doesn't know if he'd be game to direct the next one, but perhaps Blake would. Is that something that you would entertain?
Oh, absolutely. I think that whoever decides to take charge of the next one would do it justice. But, it's a lot of people to get the same schedules together again, so we'll see.
Oh, absolutely. She's so capable of that. She is a powerhouse. She could do.
And that's only the start. Rumors swirl that Blake doesn't just clash with co-stars, she weaponizes the set against them. Allegedly, when she dislikes someone, she convinces directors and fellow actors that they're the problem. Just ask Penn Badgley. Insiders claim Blake branded him difficult on day one of Gossip Girl, isolating him until the rest of the cast realized he wasn't at all what she painted him to be. Fast forward to Justin Baldoni, and the same pattern emerges. Reports say Blake tried to seize control of It Ends With Us, rewriting scenes behind Justin's back and threatening him when he pushed back. She even went directly to author Colleen Hoover to lobby for directing rights to the sequel, a move made long before lawsuits erupted. Justin's contract guaranteed him full creative control unless he became embroiled in a scandal. That caveat raised red flags. Was Blake quietly positioning herself to step in if Justin stumbled? Meanwhile, Cate Blanchett refused to be pushed out, standing firm against the same tactics. For her, it wasn't about politics, it was about principle. But the bigger question lingers. Is this the tipping point for Blake Lively? Could her pattern of undermining, bullying, and maneuvering finally catch up with her?